He commanded the chariot to stand still. See, when you believe God, you're going to command something in your life to change. It may not always be easy. Nobody said it was going to be easy all the time. But that's the second thing. That's the third thing that you got to do. Is you got to press. You have to press. Yes. See, the word of God says, give, and this will be given unto you. Good measures, pressed down and shaken together and running over. So I'm going to read that in its entirety. Romans 12:2. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So remember that. Let's make sure that we do that. Let's renew our minds. Let's walk away from what the world is telling us. Let's walk away from what the world is doing. Right? You got to understand that that's all the ploy of Satan. There's greedy businessmen are trying to manipulate you so they can get your money. So they want you to think that, going out and drinking this, going out and getting this and drinking this, or going and doing that is an acceptable thing to do because you're filling their pockets. People want you to come into the club. They want to make it sound good because you're putting their money in their pockets. So of course they're going to make it appealing, but don't be deceived by it. Be wise by it. Why do you think almost in every impoverished area? Now, in every impoverished area, do you see a rec center on every area in every impoverished neighborhood? But you could probably find a bar on every neighborhood, can't you? You could probably find somewhere where they're having lottery tickets to sell. Come on now. You understand what I'm saying? Don't be deceived by this. Don't be played like a puppet. Know what's going on. They're trying to keep you in bondage. The little bit of money that they got in those neighborhoods, they're taking it to the bar. So Mr. Corge can have his house over in Europe, 5 different houses over in Europe, all his Rolls Royces in his garage, and they're out there struggling from day to day. Right, their children don't have the shoes or food that they need to have, but yes, they're giving their money to the bar and to the liquor establishment. Now, what kind of sense is that? That's just a trick of the devil. It seems to me that I would realize and say, hey, listen, I can't get my money there. My children need something. My wife needs something. We need to get out of this ghetto. I got to save my money. The money that I've been giving to the cigarettes and to the beer and to the liquor, I can be putting that away to be putting on a down payment to get out of this place. But that's just the trick of the devil. He just keeps you just entangled into that nastiness, that nasty way of living.
Preach, Bishop.
Don't be deceived by that. Don't be deceived by his. We said the word should be not. We are not unaware of his craftiness. We are not unaware of his craftiness. Don't let him get you. Be aware of what he's doing. Romans 12:21. Be not overcome of evil. See, a lot of people do this. Say somebody give you attitude. You're like, man, what's wrong with them? And you give them attitude back. Or you say something that's nasty. You might call them out their name. You might be revengeful and do something against them. But that's not God. And now you're outside the will of God. But see, you got to endure that. You have to endure that. You got to endure that. There's going to be evilness that's going to come across you. But we got to do as what Jesus had did, what we talked about earlier. Jesus gave them the word of God. He just kept giving the word of God. Just kept giving the word of God. There's going to be evil that's going to be thrown at you. But you can't allow evil to make you evil. Then you're both evil. You understand me? And so the word reads, be not overcome the evil, but overcome evil with good. So don't let nobody make you evil because you're evil. So now you're both evil. So you're both going to hell now if God would come. No. See, there's more power in good than it is evil. So you keep being good and you're going to overcome that. You keep being good, you're going to overcome it. Just keep doing what you do. Keep being you. If you're good, if you're a Christian and you're walking the way of a Christian, keep doing you. Keep being you. Don't let nobody take you away from that. Don't let a situation separate you from God saying, well, you know what? Now you start being evil because of this situation. Don't let no situation take you away from God. You keep being you. Keep being you. We're going to turn to 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 24 through 27. And I'm going to try to spend a little bit of time on this. We're going to break this down a little bit. We're going to break it down. See, a lot of the Word of God, you just can't just run over and run past. You got to slowly digest it. There's a lot to it. Know ye not that they which run in a race run all. So let's just stop there. They that run in a race run all. So that means that not just one of them are running, they're all running. Right? You don't see an Olympic sprint contest and you just see one person, all of them line up and just one of them are running. They're all running. So they're all in the race. So you can link that to living life. We're all living life. We're all living life right now. Not just one person's living life, but we're all living life. So know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize. One receiveth the prize. So that means that everybody's not going to go to heaven. Everybody's not going to be blessed because everybody's not doing what they need to be blessed. Everybody's not coming across the finish line at the same time. Everybody's not going to make it to heaven. But they that do the right thing. But let's read on. So run that you may obtain. So run that you may obtain so that you can win the prize. So run that you can win the prize. So what did that mean? That means that if you're running to win the prize, if you think about a natural race, that means that you may have put some training in. That means that you may have been working out. You may have been running your sprint. You might have been working on your start. You might have been working on different things to make you a better runner. So that means that in the Word of God, the same thing runs true. You might have been putting some time in fasting. You might have been putting some time in reading the Word of God. You put some time into prayer. You put some time in being around other saints. You put some time in listening to holiness and gospel music. So you can run. So you can run. So you can run. You understand me? So you can run. So you can run. That's how you're going to run. You're going to have to do things deliberately to be able to run. You can't run by mistake. You're not going to win a race by mistake. You're not going to make it to heaven by a mistake. You're going to have to run, and you're going to have to be diligent about how you run. You're going to have to be precise about how you run. That's how you're going to make it. You're not going to stumble into heaven. You're not going to do it. You're not going to stumble in. So run that you may obtain. So run that you may obtain. So there's a certain way that you're going to have to run. You're going to have to get prepared for that run. So run that you may obtain. Woo! Come on! Yeah! Let's feel it! This is the Word of God. This is words of life. So run that you may obtain. So run that you may obtain. I'm hoping nobody in here likes to lose. So don't lose the game of life. Don't lose the game of life. If you had somebody who was opposing you on the football field or on the basketball court, you don't want to sit down and roll over. So don't lose the game of life. Don't lose the game of life. Verse 25. And every man that striveth for mastery is temperate in all things. Let's break that down. Every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Let's understand what that word temperate means. It means to resist. It means to hold in moderation. It means to resist. It means to hold into moderation. So that means that you just can't do everything that you want to do. Right? You can't go after things. You can't get involved in things deeply as everybody else would and go off the deep end. So for example, let's use dating for example. So let's say that you're dating. You can't do everything that the world does in dating. You're going home and you're having sex. You can't do that. You got to be temperate. You got to have some restraint to you. You got to say, not today. But maybe the day after we walk down the aisle, it will happen, but not today. You understand me? You got to be temperate. You got to restrain. You got to be moderate. That's what you got to do. That's what you have to do. We just can't just go off the deep end. It says, let's read it again. And every man that striveth for mastery is temperate in all things. We have to show some restraint. We got to be moderate. We just can't just go wild and do what we want to do. We can't do that. Now listen to this. The rest of that reads, now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible crown. I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, right? Not as uncertainly. You got to be certain about what you're doing. Like I said, if you're not, you understand what I said earlier. You're not going to make a mistake. You're not going to stumble into heaven. It's going to, you got to be certain about what you do. You got to be certain about what you do and why you do what you do. You got to be certain about it. So therefore, I therefore so run, not as uncertainly, so fight I. So fight I. Not as one that beateth the air. So you're in a fight. You're in a fight. You're in a fight for your life. You're in a fight for your life. And some people are laying down for the fight. You're taking a dive. Boop, and they're down. Right? Didn't train for the fight. Didn't train for the fight. Wasn't aware of the fight. Came to the fight half sleepy. Got sleepies all in their eyes. Can't see all well. And tired and everything. All weak and hungry. And boop. And they're going and they're getting knocked down. You can't do that. We're in a fight. This is a fight. So fight I, not as one that beateth the air. Right? No, you are in a fight. Not just a beating of the air. There's something that you're fighting. Right? And you're not fighting in vain. It's something that you're fighting. There's something that's after you. Not just beating the air. There's something after you. There's a reason why you're fighting. Verse 27. But I keep under my body. Listen, 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 listen. But I keep under my body. Woo! I keep under my body and bring it unto subjection. Listen to this. But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. We're going to stay there. We're going to stay there. We're going to stay right there. We're going to stay right here. Now listen to this. He has to restrain himself. He can't do just what he wants to do. This is the preacher preaching. He can't just do what he wants to do. So what he says to you, what you got to do, he got to do the same. So you just can't, so and I'm telling you, you just can't do what you want to do. You got to keep your body under subjection. You can't, just because you see something you think it's going to be fun and enjoyable, you can't do that all the time. You got to keep your body under subjection. If you don't, you're going to be cast away. There's no internal security. There's no, you're going to automatically make it to heaven because you were saved before. He said, lest after I preach to others, when I have, let's read it again. Lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a cast away. So we got to make sure that that's not us. We got to make sure that we don't do that. We got to make sure that we keep ourselves under subjection. We got to make sure that we're running, that we're prepared for this run. We're prepared for it. Right? We're prepared for what's going on. Be prepared. Be ready. Arm yourself likewise. Arm yourself and be ready for what's coming up against you. Next, we're going to turn to Philippians. We're going to turn to Philippians 4 and 8.